Shalom, brothers and sisters, shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Most High, the Creator, the Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, of the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. This particular presentation concerning the story of Solomon, we want to continue where we left off at. Brothers and sisters, we ask you all to get your pens, your pads, and your paper and to take notes. We hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. This is located on channels Mordeh Yeshaya Torah Lessons, Mordeh Yeshaya History Lessons, and Mordeh Yeshaya History Lessons 2. So whichever channel that you're on listening to this live, or whatever channel you're on, listen to this after it's been uploaded, subscribe to that channel. We ask you all, brothers and sisters. And giving honor and praise unto Yah, the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth, the one who sees all and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged, is whom we're speaking of. So, if I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard well and people are in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. We are going to shut the camera off. And brothers and sisters, we are going to get into this particular matter, if we will, and offer prayer and move on from there. We're going to be reading in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 44, which is actually part of the prayer of Solomon. So we are in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, verse 44, and it reads as so. If thy people go out to battle against the enemy, whithersoever thou shalt send them, and shall pray unto Yah toward the city that thou hast chosen, and toward the house that I have built for thy name. Let's stop right there, brothers and sisters. What we are reading and what we're seeing is that Solomon is saying, if your people go out to battle against the enemy and pray toward the city that you, Yah, have chosen. Why, no disrespect intended, sadly, do we see people saying that the land of Israel and by default in Jerusalem is in places such as either Utah or Peru? Brothers and sisters, is actually incorrect. All right? Let us continue in that manner. Then hear thou in heaven their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not. Let's stop right there. If they, meaning the children of Israel, sin against the Most High, for there is no man that sins not. So therefore, if Solomon is the wisest man to have ever lived, and we're seeing that it says, for there is no man that sinneth not. Anyone saying there's people who did not sin and lived a total sinless life is incorrect. So, sidebar, if we will, what we want to point out is that we all have sinned. But we all know that we can, if we repent toward the Most High, have and find forgiveness. All right? So that's something we care to point out for reasonable purposes. Let's continue. It goes on to say, we are in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 8, and we're going to be reading in verse 46. If they sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them to the enemy, so that they carry them away captives unto the land of the enemy, far or near. So whether the people were going to be brought far away or not far away from their homeland, what we're reading and what we're seeing, brothers and sisters, is that in Solomon's prayer, he is asking the Most High that the people will certainly be protected, be cared for. That is what a true leader will ask the maker of heaven and earth for. Not, well, when the Most High strike you, yeah, good for you, that kind of spirit. That's not a good thing. That's not a good leader, if we will. That's not a good person. That's not a good teacher. You understand? You always want to instill in people hope. You don't want to instill sadness. That's like you sit there and see, be somebody's peace. Because as a man or as a woman, you're already dealing with enough stress. So why be part of that person's stress? What do you gain out of that in that particular realm? Absolutely and emphatically nothing. So let us, brothers and sisters, be each other's peace in our immediate relationships and our extended relationships, if we will, brothers and sisters. All right? So let us continue in this manner. We in 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 47. Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they will carry captives and repent, and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carry them captives, saying, we have sinned, we have done perversely, we have committed wickedness. And so return to thee with all their heart and with all their soul in the land of their enemies, which lead them away captive, and pray toward thee and toward their land, which thou gavest to their fathers. That's why we want to emphasize about the concept and the ideology of saying that our homeland is in Peru, such is not the case. Such as it being in Utah, such is not the case. Such as being in what is called South Africa today is not the case. All right? The true land of Israel has been described by archaeologists left and right, and also within the scriptures. When you go to the book of Numbers 34, and when you go into the book of Daniel chapter 7, it says about the western border being where the Great Sea is. The Great Sea is the Mediterranean Sea. So this is something we want to point out for reference purposes. So the land of Israel has already been geographically identified, brothers and sisters. It's not too hard to figure out for edification purposes where the land of Israel is. It tells you, and we're going to do a teaching concerning Esau and prophecy. That's for the future. All right? We asking you all to subscribe to the channel. More Yeshaya Torah lessons, more Yeshaya history lessons. We're asking you that in a way of asking in humility, please. All right? It says in Ezekiel that the Edomites went into the land of Israel, and that they were casted out as a prey to the nations, and that the land of Israel, and I hope I don't get in trouble online for saying this, and that the land of Israel has been taken up in the lips of talkers. What does that mean when you go in Ezekiel chapter 35 and Ezekiel chapter 37? When it says that the land of Israel is taken up in the lips of talkers. Could that be the Balfour Declaration? Shh, we're going to give these people this land after what they went through. So we can see, brothers and sisters, who had the land of Israel after, when Hadrian called that land Palestine to help what talks about in Psalm 83, such as getting the name of Israel out of remembrance. Did you know that? This is not going to be too far off the point in intention. But do you know that one of my teachers, brothers and sisters, was going to go on that show like it is back in the 1980s? It was told, okay, basically, you know, if you come on the show, you can come on, but you have to talk about how it is to be a black man that's a Jew or a black Jew. Not an Israelite, but a Jew. A black Jew. No, I can't go on the television. It's long before the internet came out and sit there and speak on that. I'm not a black Jew. I'm an Israelite. I am a Hebrew. That's what I can go and talk about. Well, no, you really can't do it. So you know what? Keep your show, and it is what it is. As opposed to, no disrespect intended to anyone, you got your own channel your own platform, but you feel you got to go, not to blow up anybody's name, Sonetta, who does not like Israelites, just to sit there and get more views. You know, every view online is not a good one, like every dollar in life is not a good one. Did you know that? Sonetta don't like Israelites. You might find him trying to click more with Israelites since his crew done got locked up and abandoned and left him. So now you got to go back to the house of Israel, because that is where the views and the props, quote unquote, will come from. But Israelites not trusting in their own channel, Israelites not trusting in their own God, that their channel can be used to reach the brothers and sisters that the Most High will allow it to. I need to have more views, and I need more people to see me. That's why I'm okay teaching without my camera on. I'd rather you look at the PowerPoint that we're going to bring up. And that I'm so amazed at the man. No, be amazed at the work of the Most High. ATF, CIA, FBI, police department order to watch YouTube as well. So every view you get, don't sit there and be like, I need more people to see me. If you're taking my views, you can keep your views on your channel. Hold that. Because like we're talking about Solomon, he said, with the lowly is wisdom. With the humble is wisdom. Not, I need everybody to see me, and I'm going to be upset. Did you know, since I've been online, that I've been getting emails about being able to buy views? If you spend $100, we'll make your channel look bigger than what it actually is. No, it's not that serious. Present your case and let the Most High do the rest. Commit your works to Yah, and your thoughts shall be established. So if you're doing whatever it may be to the glorification of the Most High, and Yah sees it and wants it to be, and use you as that tool, then so be it. But the energy that says they need to be seen like that is not good. There's a scripture that talks about that kind of spirit. Look and see how zealous I am for Yah. That's not something you can fake. You don't have to say that. You know, one of those things like things that's known need not be said. You don't need man to sit there and see that. If you have that in you, people will see it. And even if man don't say it and you know it's still in you, you still do what you do. These are things we want to point out for edification purposes. Giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth. We're going to, brothers and sisters, pull up the PowerPoint, asking you all to subscribe to the channel, to comment, like, and share. And brothers and sisters, this is a continuation of what we had done and didn't get to complete with the time allotted. Solomon having to see one's ways. Now, this is the slide that we ended off on, but we're going to continue from this, if we will. Okay? Solomon's brother, Adoniah, wanted the throne. Adoniah was slain by the orders of Solomon. What can we gather from that? Bathsheba, can you ask Solomon for Abishag, who was our father's nurse? He didn't want Abishag to be his wife like he loved her and approached her father or something like that. He asked not even his brother. He asked his brother's mother. Well, he's close to his mom, so I'm going to sit there and go that route. But the inward thought was that I would like to have the throne. Because see, when King David was passing away, may he rest in peace. This is the same Adoniah that was going from town to town saying that he's now the king. You wasn't at daddy's side. You wasn't with the priest trying to make prayers. You wasn't with the rofe or the doctor trying to get herbs. You wasn't with doing none of that. You going on your animal, going from town to town, proclaiming yourself as king when our father is passing away. So now that you see who is the king, you're going to go to that king's mother and say, well, I would like to sit there and like to know if I can have Abishag's wife. You just can't be happy that somebody got something and you can sit there and even be the older brother and be part of his council. You don't think Solomon would have promoted Adoniah to being his brother, like, you're my brother, so I got you? No. You is what you, according to today's terms, hating on your baby brother. Just like you hated on your father when your father was alive. We have to change. Solomon is told to have Joab killed. This is done by Benaiah. So let's talk about briefly Joab and himself. Joab is the character that slew Shalom. Nobody told you to do that. Then, when you know that your time is up, what you do is what? I'm going to hold on to the altar, and everything is going to be just all right. Benaiah, slay him on the altar. And that's what happened. So Joab was not the best of characters of people. Solomon is told to respect Barzillai, but not Shimei or Shimei. Shimei cursed David. As you will read on, Solomon had him put in a particular city. And then if you were to leave that city, that will be his death penalty. And that's what happened. Solomon is now on the throne and marries into the house of the Egyptians. Gibeon, a famous city, is where Solomon is asked of the Creator for what he wants. Solomon stated he wanted wisdom and understanding. And that answer pleased the Most High. You didn't ask for money. You didn't ask for riches. You didn't ask for fame. You didn't ask for today's terminology. I need props. I need people to see me. I need online views. I don't trust in what I'm about, so I'm going to have to sit there and ask if somebody else can do something for me. You didn't ask for it. You understand? You didn't trust in your own self. No disrespect intended, having a spirit like Saul, where you can just sit there and rely on your God-given talent. You sadly made the mistake that King Asa of Judah made. I'm going to go and call on Baal-Zebub, the god of Ekron. So when the prophet came and said, is there not a God in Israel that you got to call on the God of Ekron? So whatever the situation is, Kuru al-Yahweh, call on Yah. You don't have to sit there and say, I'm going to try to find out which one it is or who to call on. That's something we don't need to do. See, in Israel, we have a saying, and it's in the book of Deuteronomy. English says, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Hebrew says, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. When you have a culture that says that, you don't have to sit there and, oops, you make a mistake and call on, quote, the wrong God. Because there's only one God in Israel. And the God of Israel is one, not 2 and 3 divided. Not the Ennead, not the Father, Son, and the Ghost. No, such is not the case, brothers and sisters. So these are things we want to point out for reference purposes. So we asking you all if I can be heard, and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. If I can be heard, and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. Thank you. Get your pens, your pad, your paper, and take notes. Now, let us speak on a harsh reality in Hebrew. Solomon is approached by women who each claim a baby is theirs. Now that is a tough situation to sit there and deal with. Most of us know about this, and I used a picture from a paternity court case. When you watch paternity court, be it Lake Judge or Judge Lake or whoever else, the judge in that case, no disrespect, was not like Solomon, where the judge in that case tries to make the man a sip And I hate to have to use that word, but when you find out that you ain't the father through DNA, well, if you still want to sit there and take care of another man's baby, which means you're not making a true father responsible for his seed, it's a thing of you'd be a good man because a real man takes care of a baby, even if it ain't his, instead of trying to find out who the father is to make one accountable. See, that's not something that Solomon himself said would have said. So Judge Lake or whoever is not on the human level compared to the wisdom that Solomon had. Solomon had servants. Some are as follows: Azariah, Elihoreph, Achiyah, Jehoshaphat, Benaiah, Zadok, Abiatar, Azariah, a different Azariah, Zabud, Akishar, Adoniram. Now, these names, brothers and sisters, in Hebrew, I'm going to, with the time allotted, because we want to go through the slides and do respect, right? I'm just going to translate one of them right now. And that is the word that stood out to me. Zabud or Zabud. Highlighted there, you see in a yellow. Right? What does that mean? It comes from the root word Zebed, which comes from the root word Zabad. The word Zabad means to be endowed, to be gifted. So Zebud means that which is a gift, that which is given as a gift. That's what that word means, brothers and sisters. So that's what we want from the Most High. When the Most High asked Solomon, asked of what you want, he wanted Bina, understanding. We went over the word Bina before on Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lesson. Subscribe to that channel. And he asked for Kakba, which is wisdom. So these are things, brothers and sisters, we care to point out. There will be, Creator willing, we intending upon it, a Hebrew class tomorrow night on the Sabbath, where we go over the translation of all these names, all right, as well as the translation of all the names that you see from Adino to Uriah, all right? So stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel, Mora Yeshaya Hebrew lessons, and you can see that then. Brothers and sisters, if we will, what do we think when a woman and another woman are going back and forth about children? Take the animal kingdom. Solomon said, let a man meet a bear bereft of her whelps, meaning her children, than a fool in his folly. Because that bear, that mother is going to go and create havoc. You saw that movie Planet of the Apes? I think it was, the monkey's name was Caesar, and his mother looking for him tore the whole lab up. I'm going to take the liberty, may my mother rest in peace, and say, me being usually, quote, big for my age, and my mother said she walked me when we was in Brooklyn, and I'm 2 years old at the time. And she said that I was saying to her and pointing, swing, swing. I wanted to go to the swing. And she said, wait, or no, or something of that nature. We go into the store on Nostrand Avenue between Forster Avenue and Avenue D, for those who know Brooklyn. Or Nostrand Avenue between Forster Avenue D, yes. We go into the store, and she said that she lifted her hand to pick up something real quick, and then I ran out of the store. Went to the corner of the street, walked across the street, in some way, somebody put me in one of the swings. And she was looking up and down the aisle saying, where's my son? Where's my son? When she found me, of course, she said she was upset and wasn't happy, but at the same token was relieved that She found me. I'm saying that to say, brothers and sisters, you don't want to be a paternal, inside the midst of a paternal argument. You don't want to be around when two women are arguing about one of their own children. That is not the argument to want to be around. I promise you that. So when we may think the daughters of Zion, by the time Lamentations comes along with Baruch and Jeremiah, it said the daughter of my people have become cruel. So now when we begin to sit back and look, brothers and sisters, Deuteronomy 28, when it says she would not venture to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil, X, Y, and Z place, X, Y, and Z person against. You don't want that situation to be around you. So these women that approach Solomon, there's two things I like to point out, or more than two. They were called harlots. Layman terms, whores, without being too profane. Solomon then judged them on that. Time and place for everything. This ain't the time to sit there and look at what these particular women are about when they're coming to talk about a life. We'll deal with that another time. We're talking about a living baby who cannot speak for himself, and one is saying that you put the baby and switched. You ever seen the crazy show called For My Man, and the lady who's up there doing life because she killed another lady to try to take the baby out so she can become a mother? That's not the way to become a mother. You can't have children, you can adopt. You don't have to take somebody's life and take the baby out, like in these shows that you might see online. So these women that will approach Solomon, like you might see in the paternal court, is not, my lord, O king, if I beseech thee. No. We are told that Hebrew has no curses because most of the Hebrew we get come about the scriptures, so it wouldn't be curses in it anyway. I'm going to stay with understanding that Hebrew has no curses. You understand? Maybe they had another language that they spoke to get a certain word across. Because it said the Philistine cursed David in the name of his God. So these women that approached Solomon and continue on in the presentation were not that humble, my lord, O king, if I beseech thee. It was some words I cannot to say on the channel. This bleep took my bleeping baby and think that is hers. I'll push this little such and such out of my such and such. We're going to keep it clean. Don't worry. But we know how sisters can be once it comes down to their child. I'll feed my baby with these breasts to keep the language cleaner. I'm talking reality on what happens in life. These women in the time of Solomon were called whores, harlots. What was Israel getting into? See, the Jewish man in Judaism would have you think they were so the priesthood and the Ohel Moed, the tender meeting, and the cloud was above the tabernacle. And then when you read in the history, like, whoa, that's what y'all, yeah, that's what Israel was about. Do you claim that history? See, if you can't claim that while you're claiming to be the child of Israel or from the children of Israel, you need to drop it. Because you got to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. Not just the pretty, the smoke filled the tabernacle and the glory was seen outside. That's when it was better days. So brothers and sisters, let's continue in this matter here. Solomon had different districts, and this here is a list of them from District 1 to District 12. You have District 1 in the mountains of Ephraim. District 2 in the land of Machaz. All right? That is as you go toward the land of Ephraim and where Dan meet when you're looking at the map. District 3, Arubot. That is going further toward the Mediterranean or the Great Sea when you're looking at the map. District 4, the land of Dur, when you go toward the land of Asher in ancient days. District 5, Ta'anak, when you see in the land of Issachar. District 6, Ramoth Galeed, which you see over in the land of Manasseh on the east side of the Jordan. District 7, Machanaim, you see that in the land of Gad. District 8, Naphtali, that's self-explanatory. District 9, Asher and Olot. District 10, Issachar, that's self-explanatory. District 11, Benjamin, not far from where Jerusalem is. And District 12, Galeed, in the land of Reuben. So you had different districts, most of them being on the west side of the Jordan. Then you have on the east side of the Jordan. So if you wanted to go to the land of Israel, where ancient Israel was at, you may not need to fly to Tel Aviv airport, where they say Tel Aviv is the homosexual capital of the Middle East, quote unquote, of today, sadly. You may want to go through Amman airport in Jordan, because the ancient Israelites were still there as well. So I just want to point that out for reference purposes. All right. Any questions or comments, please feel free to type it into the chat. Thank you. Now let's look. Solomon's empire from the Euphrates to the land of the Philistines. So where's the Euphrates? We're going to show it circled right there in that case. So all of that realm that you see there to the land of the Philistines, in Gaza is one of the main cities of such, is where the kingdom of Solomon was. That may not be, brothers and sisters, where all Israelites were. But Solomon, having districts and having already made friends with the locals of other kingdoms, is why you may see that. David already having friends from other kingdoms, you may inherit your father's friends. Solomon had a mind that was about expansion, as his father David. No disrespect, when we went over the presentation in the summer or so, or before the summer, about the story of Saul, he sadly didn't have the bigger picture mindset. And today's term is like the person who just see their block and the person who sees beyond their block, around the corner, if you will. So again, these are things we want to point out for reference purposes. We're going to ask you to get your pens, your pad, and your paper and to take notes. Thank you for that, brothers and sisters. All right. Hoping and praying that everybody is well and will be better. Let's continue, brothers and sisters. Solomon ruled from Dan to Beersheba in peace. And yes, there I am asking you all to subscribe. Yes, I am. Thank you to the people who did subscribe. So here we see Dan. We want to show it with a different color, if we will, in black. All right. Dan to Beersheba. Sorry about that. Eraser. Then we're going to go back to the highlighter. Beersheba. Beersheba. From Dan to Beersheba. That is a long land for the ancient times. In today's time, they say basically that's from like Manhattan to Albany in the state of New York, and that's a long distance. To get from Manhattan to Albany is not a short trip. You might just think, oh, it's 4 hours, but that's if you're driving, and even less than that if you're taking a plane. But when you're riding a horse, who needs rest, or a camel or a mule, or you're walking, that's not a short distance. You understand? These are things we want to point out for reference purposes. So when you read from Dan to Beersheba, what that is talking about, brothers and sisters, is the location of the land of Israel from the most northern point to its most southern point. Shalom, love. Shalom, Sarai. Shalom, Dovayahu Ben Dova. Shalom, Yirmiyahu. Shalom, CP, son of wisdom. Shalom to everybody in the chats. I'm going to ask if my brother Yirmiyahu is online. I'm going to read something that's in the book of Amos, chapter 8, if we will. Amos chapter 8, verse 14. Thank you for that. Sorry. Amos 8, verse 11. All right. And let's see what it says. Amos, the prophet Amos, chapter 8, verse 11. Okay. And it reads on this wise. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of the hearing of the words of Yah. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. And they shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yah, and shall not find it. They shall wander to and fro. They shall go from the east into the north. That means east of the land of Israel, Islam, and north of the land of Israel, Christianity, to seek the word of Yah and shall not find it. North of Israel is where Christianity comes from. East of Israel is where Islam comes from. The prophets already spoke upon what? In Amos chapter 8. They shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. And they shall run to and fro to seek the word of Yah and shall not find it. Because there's a famine for the word of Yah in these days and times. And these are things that we want to point out for reference purposes. Yes, in the districts, there were Levitical cities. Yes, Dora. Thank you for typing that in. Let's go on, if we will. In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. The fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. What is it talking about? A thirst for the hearing of the words of the Most High. When you can hear young men and young women talk about some of the things that they have experienced, gone through, and so forth and so on, what our people need from the youth to the elders is a healing from the creator of heaven and earth. I was thinking earlier when I was getting something to eat about the priestly blessing. The Most High lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. We want that Shalom, mean Yahweh, the peace from the Most High. We don't want, like Ali Jida, person who said that they've been in the land of Israel since the time of Joshua. Did you know that? There are black people in the land of Israel today that stated they've been there since the time of Joshua, the successor of Moses. If you remember, the Assyrian kings, which I'm always talking about, and also the Babylonian kings, which I'm always talking about, the book of Kings says that they left the poor of the land in the land. So when you read about the, quote, African Palestinians of today, who call themselves B'nai Yisrael, not the so-called philosophers who are also Israel, but a group of people in Israel that stated they've been there since the days of Joshua, the son of Nun. They are still sadly poor in the land. Did you know that? Israelites that have been in the land since the time of Joshua, the son of Nun. Looking like they coming out of South Carolina, Alabama, or Maryland. On the channel Mordecai Yeshaya History Lessons, there's a video that I did when they was talking to somebody on cable. Israelites from Africa in Israel, not from America. But you know what they said? While in that video, which is on the channel, Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew History Lessons, and I can put it inside the description of this, it's on my channel. He said when the Greeks and the Romans came in, that the people fled into Africa and were taken to America. A man who has never been perhaps in America, saying that they've been there since the time of Joshua, the son of Nun, is saying that his people were scattered into Africa and then brought to America. So when we read earlier in the book of Kings, where Solomon said what? If they are delivered to the hand of the enemies and are carried far or near, we are far from our land. We have a land, we have a language, we have a culture. And that is what the so-called conscious community can never sit there and bring to the people. What is your land, language, and culture? That's something they would not attempt to address, but rather spend so much time talking about Israelites this and Israelites that. If you are Kemetic and if your people go back to the Ramses and the Thutmosids and the Amenophids of Dynasty 18 and 19, and I seen the mummy of Berneptah and Ramses the First, by the way, when me and my lady was in Egypt. If that is your people, then go and claim that. Go and talk to the people from the United Arab Republic, aka Egypt, of today, and speak to them. Don't debate with Israelites left and right on Sinetta channel or any others. We don't want, like Joseph said, don't leave me here buried in Egypt. We don't want to sit there and claim, because we know it's not ours, Ta Siti, Ta Mary, Waset, Kemet. Our gods is not Sekhmet or Hathor or Apistable, where they got a child in Lower Egypt or Southern Egypt, sorry, that's Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt is Southern Egypt, where they got a cow pictured on their wall when the child is underneath the cow sucking the milk out of that animal. That's not our culture. Our culture, children of Israel, children of Israel, when you read in Deuteronomy chapter 29, and it says, you have seen the detestable things of Egypt, don't go up the steps of my altar, that your nakedness be seen. But you got the Egyptian god named Men with an erection that everybody's up there supposed to see. When the wives of the pharaohs inside the temple of Hathor is looking at another man's phallus, and she's a married woman. That's not our culture, O children of Israel. So this conscious community who wanted to sit there and try to always debate the house of Israel, you see what happened and you see where it's at. So Israelites far and near, you need not sit there and run to these other platforms and channels, regardless of whatever school you come from, that don't like your school. And not to get too sidetracked, Ikajik, who was ran, if I may go there, and said by their elder named Tazadakia, when that school had a problem, Sinetta was up there in Harlem talking about, where is your God? Now, I'm not Messianic myself. I don't come from the schools of One West. But they was up there talking about your clothing, saying you look like a Power Ranger. Now you running over there to be on their channel. You spent $300 to $500 to dress in those studs and those leather outfits, my brother, with ancient Hebrew on your belt, to go and sit on the channel where they used to laugh at you at. That's not intelligent. Use your own channel. Use your own platform. You can create YouTube like this. Not to be haughty, a brother got 5 YouTube channels. See how easy it is to make one? All you need is an email, generally a telephone number, and just put some content on it, and you got one. You don't have to run to these other platforms, sons and daughters of Israel, in order to get your voice heard. Come in the name of Yah and whom he wants to hear, if it be his will to have you to be heard, then so be it. Now, in Amos chapter 8:14, thank you. They that swear by the sin of Samaria and say, thy God, O Dan, lives, and the men of Beersheba lives, even they shall fall and never rise up again. That is in Amos chapter 8, verse 14. This is not saying that the tribe of Dan is going to fall. Remember, Dan is a land, when you read in Joshua chapter 19 and in Judges chapter 18, to let the book speak. From Dan to Beersheba, they that swear by the sin of Samaria. What is the sin of Samaria? Samaria, or Shomron, also written about in Assyrian records, is the capital of the northern kingdom that was started by Ahab. And if it wasn't him, it was his father Omri, one of the two. He put up idols in there. That is the sin of Samaria. And say, as thy God, O Dan, lives. Dan is where Jeroboam set one of the idols. And the man of Beersheba lives. What's the man of Beersheba, which was in the southern kingdom? Taking bribes. You could pay the judge off. That is what it's talking about in Amos 8:14. Not saying that the children of the Danites is going to be obliterated. So these are things we want to talk about for reference purposes. Let's continue, family. Thank you for the time. Thank you for joining in. Solomon's major project was the building of the temple. He was friends with Hiram. Hiram was the king of Tyre. Now, in a presentation on Mori Yeshaya history lessons, there's a presentation called African or Hebrew Diaspora. And in that video, which you can get, which can also be put in the description, brothers and sisters, it will be put in the description when this is uploaded, right? Tyre is where the people of the Phoenicians come from. So Solomon was friends centuries before Ezekiel with the people of the Zidonians, which is right next to the tribe of Asher, Issachar, and Zebulun. It's not hard to figure out why some people say Hannibal Barca, who went against the Romans, though he never made it to Rome, was an Israelite, according to some. Barca, B-A-R-C-A, comes in part from the word Barak. The word Barak means lightning in Hebrew. The Carthaginians refer to their judges as shofet. In Hebrew, the word shafat or shapat means to judge. So it's not hard to figure out how you make the connection one with another. And in the video that I just talked about, Hebrew or African diaspora, or African or Hebrew diaspora, on the channel Mori Yeshaya history lessons, who was dispersed? Was it the African man or the Hebrews that went into the interior Africa and then later picked up by the Portuguese, the English, the Spanish, and the Dutch? Shh, it was the Hebrews. That's who was taken on the good ship Jesus. You know, that was a slave ship. That the owner of it was Captain John Hawkins, who worked for Queen Elizabeth I. Could that be the relatives of Prince Henry of today? Did Meghan Markle marry into the family or descendants of people who were slave traders? Who knows? But brothers and sisters, getting into this, if we will, Solomon's major project was the temple. All right? So I'm going to read portions, and we're going to read in 1 Kings 7:23, please. And it reads as follows, to let the book speak. Thank you for the time. 1 Kings 7:23 reads, and he, Solomon, and he made a molten sea 10 cubits from one brim to the other. It was round about. And the height was 5 cubits, and a line of 30 cubits did compass it round about. So the molten sea thing is right here in the diagram. Just want to point that out. When we go to 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 4, we see this, if we will. 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 4. And for the house, he made windows of narrow lights. And what we're talking about, brothers and sisters, that's the other one, if I may look real quick. The window things that we're talking about. Now, Solomon's temple was destroyed. So what we're talking about here is a diagram of such. All right. Thank you, my brother, for typing in the scriptures I'm reading. All right. Just want to point that out for reference purposes. Let's continue, if we will. 1 Kings chapter 6, verse 31 says this. And for the entering of the oracle, he made doors of olive tree. The lintel and the side posts were a fifth part of the wall. The 2 doors also were of olive tree. And he carved upon them carvings of cherubims and palm trees and open flowers, and overlaid them with gold, and spread gold upon the cherubims and upon the palm trees. So you got olive trees and palm trees. Do you know what olives are good for? Skin. Do you know that Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, says that you shall not anoint yourselves with the olives? So if Israel was already anointing themselves with the olives, what would they anoint? Their hair. Olive is good for your hair and your skin. What these nations gave us, male and female alike, is a perm. No knock on sisters or brothers who got perms. But when the perm industry began to subside, it's because sisters mainly began to sit there and see this thing is going in my brain and it's harming it. See the difference between when the Most High gives you something, like ancient Israel anointing themselves with olives, and Solomon having the matter that was done with the olive trees and the palm trees, and overlaid those trees with gold. Where do you get gold from? The earth. Everything that the Most High has made for us come from out of this earth. We don't have to go in space. Not trying to be too personal, I know of people who got HIV/AIDS. That is when their T cell count done went down past 200 in their thymus gland. You know what they take? Clove oil, but mainly golden seal, red clover, and suma. Suma, S-U-M-A, builds up your immune system. Red clover cleanses your blood of impurities. And golden seal works on your hair, your skin, your nails, and your blood. Now, when these people diagnosed already with, quote, for the lack of a better term, sadly, the monster, they go and get their HIV checkup. They're like, the cells in your thymus has increased. So I'm saying this to point out that the things that the Most High already put in the earth is already there. You understand? These are things we care to point out for edification purposes, if we will, so there won't be no misunderstanding in what we're talking about. All right? So just wanted to show the matter with Solomon's temple. We're going to show it a little different on this one. And we're going to read another part, right? And that is in 1 Kings chapter 7, verse 21. And it reads as follows. And he set up the pillars in the porch of the temple. And he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Yahim. And he set up the left pillar and called the name thereof Boaz. What does Yakin mean in Hebrew? The word Yakin means he will establish. It's a he filled verb stem from the Hebrew word hakin. From the brothers and sisters who went through or who are in the line from Hashaba Yisrael, when they will call you up as a male to read, you would say, Lo ani nakom, I'm not prepared or I'm not ready. Well, of course, you was told later on you should have been ready. But my point nonetheless is, nakom, meaning ready, mukan, meaning ready, and hakin all have a similar meaning. To be prepared, to be ready, to be established. So when he called the name of it Yakin, that you even see there, we're going to show it here in this case, right? Circled. And the other is called Boaz. What does Boaz mean? Az means strength. So Bo means in him. Boaz, in him is strength. So we didn't name things just because it sounded nice, even though those names do sound nice. We name things based upon it having a meaning, spiritual and or otherwise. Yisrael literally means God will contend. The reason why he was called that is because Jacob wrestled for you have striven with God and man and survived. That's the reason why. But the translation of the name and the reason why he was named something is different. So we want to know the spiritual, which is the reasoning, and the literal, which is the translation. So let's continue. Hopefully this diagram is good enough. We're going to move on with that. Giving honor and praise unto Yah, creator, maker of heaven and earth. If I can be heard, well, and people in good spirits, please type in the number 4. What do we see here? This is in the land of Megiddo. Let's go back on the map and show something for edification purposes. Israelites only come with the Bible. They don't come with no archaeology. Somebody that lied to you. You better check out these channels. Megiddo, number 5, right here. And it's in the land of Issachar for those interested. So now, let's look at this, if we will, right? It's called Ta'anak. That's where the government was, but the land of Megiddo is in there. Now, the word Megiddo, you may hear commonly. Thank you for that, for typing in the number 4. You may hear that word Megiddo commonly. What Megiddo means, it means his telling. Magid means telling. Ani Magid Oka, I am telling you. Or Ani Magid Lakha, I am telling to you. More grammarly correct in Hebrew. By the way, for those interested, you may want to sit there and remember the date. Several Wednesdays from now, November 1st, we're going to have a presentation regarding the matter of Hebrew. November 1st, save the date if you can, or Mordeh Yeshaya Hebrew lessons. We intend to go into a matter concerning Hebrew, and that lesson is going to be 3 to 4 hours long. All right, that's going to be the last free Hebrew course for those who want Hebrew classes privately. After that, you don't even have to pay me, just buy the Hebrew books, and we could talk the business another time. Just want that to be noted. All right, so let's continue in this particular matter. We went over some of the stuff there with the temple. He was king, friends with the people of the Zidonians. We already explained the Zidonians, along with some Israelites, went over to Carthage, and this is why you see Shem and Hamitic culture in Carthage and so forth and so on when people are calling on Baal. That's a whole other subject. But just want to point that out, if you will, for evidence purposes. They want to jump the gun showing the horses. Let's look at this, brothers and sisters. Megiddo. The building projects that Solomon had in that particular case. Remember this, because we're going to get into a part when archaeology and what time frame and what age of the world Solomon was living in. All right, let's go on. The matter of Solomon's horses. Probably should have put the comma on the other side of the yes. Pardon that if so. Solomon spent 7 years building the temple, yet 13 years in building his house. Now, I just want to show something for grammar. They generally say if the number is less than 10, just write the whole word out. But if it's over 10, you could just put the digits. Just want to point that out. The matter with the work he did in Gezer and Megiddo, shown in the previous slide, is noted too. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 15. 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 15, where we start talking about the story of Solomon. And it goes on to say this. And this is the reason of the levy which King Solomon raised, for to build the house of Yah in his own house, and Milo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, and Megiddo, and Gezer. For Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up, and taken Gezer, and burnt it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city, and gave it for a present to his daughter, Solomon's wife. And Solomon built Gezer, and Beit Haron, the Nether, and Baalat, and Tadmor, and the wilderness in the land, and all the cities of store that Solomon had, and cities for his chariots, and cities for his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion. Lebanon, that's Syria, is it not? It's called growth and expansion, not I'm stuck here, I'm used to here. What's wrong? What I got here? Like Malcolm X was talking about. You know, like what even the movie Roots was trying to show. Hey, you and me, run away from this miserable place. This is where I be. That's where I'm going to stay. And you still got some people like that. What's the point of getting a passport? What's the point in traveling? What's the point of going somewhere? When it's that time, it's that time. Okay, and you're right. So when your time comes, don't sit there in front when it's time to leave. Repatriate. But for those who already have their own time, don't try to stop him or her. Israel did not leave the land in one swoop and may not come back to the land in one swoop. So don't sit there and try to, because no disrespect intended, you thinking about that pension. Maybe you thinking about that job. And instead of trying to get your relatives, immediate or extended, to say, family, let's go on and leave this place, you're going to use that as a catalyst to stay in this place. Why do you think it says in Jeremiah, per se, one from a city and two from a family? When you that chosen out of your family, immediate, be that light to your family. Let them wonder why you don't come for Xmas dinner. Let them sit back and wonder why you'd rather go to work and get time and a half on what they call Thanksgiving, as opposed to sitting there celebrating the death of another people. I remember one time, in no slander on a brother, when I was like, man, this Xmas thing and all of that coming up, I'm working, that is time and a half. I can use the paper. I remember saying that. And I was asked, like, oh, man, you ain't got no family? Now, hold on a second. I got family. Yes, I do. But let me ask this. When did a man ask a man, and I'm not shaming the brother, not even going to mention who the brother in the building is. I would have thought to hear, it is what it is. Times is real. Get that paper, baby. I thought I was going to hear that. Time and a half. You got to do what you got to do, bro. Instead, I'm hearing, it's the holidays. What about your family? I thought that's why we go to work, hope to get time and a half, so you can take care of things with family. See the difference in the mentality? A brother, a black man, for the lack of a better term, can't even go to work on a set holiday without somebody still criticizing. But if he sits on his behind all day long and not working, you need to get up and do something. We got some bills to pay. That's what the Tanakh talks about. The sword within and bereavement without. Bereavement within and the sword without. No rest for the sole of your foot. What people go through that? Us, male to female, female to male. We have to end that cycle. According to archaeologists, they have found evidence of over 400 stalls for horses. You can research that in your own time in biblical archaeology. 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 28, and 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 22. Solomon had a fleet of ships from Ezion Geber, which allowed Israelites to travel by ships to as far as the Indian Ocean. So they say Magellan is the one who sailed the whole world. But there were already people selling throughout the world prior to that, and they don't say that there wasn't. But we want to point out that Solomon had a fleet of ships. This is the first time, correct me if I'm wrong, in Israel, besides the time in Judges, when it says, Dan, why does he dwell in ships? Where you actually have an organization of your own people doing, for the lack of a better term, cruises and boat rides. It's called growth and expansion, not, I'm stuck here, I have nothing better to do. Solomon had that mind of growth. So we in 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 28, and it reads on this wise. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price. That means they dealt in business. When Israel was going to go through the land and eat them in the time of Moses, he said, we will not eat anything, and if we do or drink your water, we will pay for it. You pay your way through, like Abraham did. Don't let people say, I did that for you. I gave you everything free. No, pay your way the Abraham kind of way. So when they try to snap on, say, the Abrahamic religions, which is not a religion, it's a culture, it's a way of life. You never notice those people don't support nothing else? Abraham's way was, when you have a guest, not even knowing who you're entertaining, go, lady, wife, and quickly fetch a calf, because we got company, not even knowing who you're entertaining. That's the way of Abraham. The way of Yitzchak. Knowing when to go and when to fall back. Go not into the land of Egypt, but stay in Gerar. Isaac knew his place. Jacob put more money in the sack in case it was an oversight, and go back to the man and pay for it. As opposed to what some might do, my money was put back after I got it. I got over. No, you sons of Israel. Go back, because see, what you didn't know was the Lord of the land, who was Joseph, their brother, was trying to see their character. So I'm going to give you what you pay for and give you your money back. Because if you bring that to your father, I know my father is going to say, put it back in there. Y'all sold me, so I already know what kind of character I'm dealing with. Y'all just about getting coins, paper, shekels, if you will, regardless of what. That's what you call a narcissist. A narcissist, correct me if I'm wrong, has the mentality that says, I'll do anything and it don't matter who it hurts, it's just about me. That's not a good way to be, brothers and sisters. When they returned with the money back, if they didn't believe Jacob was alive before, then he certainly knew it after. Like, yeah, Abba told him to do that. I know that that wasn't in your own accord, because y'all sold me, so I already know what y'all was about. So looking at it like that, we can see, not to put words in the Most High's mouth, why he said he will be known as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Why do we argue how you pronounce the tetragrammaton? Yahweh, Yahovah, Yahuwah, Yahweh. We don't need to argue over that, because he said his memorial throughout all generations is to be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Only one can claim that. See how simple things can be without making it complex, if we will? So, brothers and sisters, let's continue. Solomon's empire, the territory of Israel before David became king. Area conquered by David and inherited by Solomon. Area under strong economic influence of Solomon. That land is in the land of the east. That is part ours. We are the children of those people, brothers and sisters. We had an empire. Sadly, it didn't last very long, but we don't want to be fame harlots, for the lack of a better term. If you look at Egypt, you had 32 dynasties. Okay, you look at ancient Israel, there was 11 dynasties. But you know what it looks like the more dynasties a civilization or a people have? It looks sloppy. No knock on Egypt, no knock on Israel. Israel had 11 dynasties from the time of Solomon all the way down to the timing of Zedekiah. When you look at both the northern and southern kingdom, Egypt had 32 dynasties, one of them being white. So when you talk about we got more dynasties, it means you got lack of consistency. You know, they tell you on the resume, don't put down the job that you only been in for 2 months. Make your resume only one sheet. Because if it looks like you got 18 jobs in a matter of 5 years, what the thought is that you can't maintain it or you're a quitter. So don't put down the job that you've been in on your resume for less than a year. That generally may not look the best. Just a word of advice. What does jambalaya mean in Hebrew? Thank you for that question, my brother Hebrew boy. I don't know what that means. If anybody knows what jambalaya means, please type it into the chat. I do not know what that means. I apologize. Let's continue, family. Solomon used Israelites as laborers, and at times was not a good thing. The cities of Lebanon used was shipped, then brought by land over the Jerusalem hills to Solomon. Remember, Psalms 125, as the mountains round about Jerusalem. So hills and mountains is around Jerusalem. So if they're bringing it from Lebanon by the Mediterranean Sea, when they get back to land, from the sea, they got to walk inland to Jerusalem with the cedars, then go up the hills and mountains to bring it there. That's work. That is work. Now, I did not put that picture together. That picture was suggested when I was putting a PowerPoint together, talking about wheat and things growing. This came up. Even got the split in the shirt. Maybe we got to put fringes if we edit the picture. But that's the picture that was just pulled up or suggested by the matter when I was making the PowerPoint. All right? They never talk about who was ruling when they bring up those dynasties. All right. Not to get sidetracked. Thank you for that, my brother. I'm not saying you're making me go sidetracked. We're going to talk in part about those dynasties and names. Remember, our book says that Solomon married a daughter of the Pharaoh. I used to wonder about that when I was a child. I give respect to my teachers who told me to study. I thank the Most High for being given that advice. 32 dynasties. So, my brother, do you claim the Ptolemies? Do you claim the Persians in Dynasty 27? Because, see, everybody that was on the throne of Israel was an Israelite. Even Simon Maccabee, the relative of Judah Maccabeus, that the Book of Tacitus of Rome talks about being the king of the Jews, was an Israelite. All the kings of Judah were Israelites. All the kings of Israel were Israelites. Nobody that was not an Israelite sat on the throne of Israel. Other nations can't say that. Would it not be better to have a shorter time span of ruling, and everything is original, everything is you, everything is 100 you, or have 18 or more dynasties and everything is mixed up with the Hyksos, everything's mixed up with the Ptolemies, everything's mixed up with the Persians, everything is mixed up with the Assyrians. Which one is better? A little morsel of bread in peace, or a house of feasting with strife? We got 32 dynasties, including the white man on that throne. So the writing that was found with Greek on one side and metroneta or hieroglyphics on the other, that was made in honor of Ptolemy V. So you understand the metroneta by going through a Greek translation and saying this is what it is. That was made in honor of Ptolemy V. one of the enemies of both the Israelites and the Egyptians. But let's go on, family, and get into this. Yes, that was a political marriage. In that case, with Solomon doing that, he did several of them. But yes, to answer your question. So let's look at this, family. Solomon and Sheba. Oh, I actually meant to delete that one, but all right, didn't happen in that manner. Solomon and Sheba. Do you see the difference between the way the people in Demona in their Bible have Solomon and Sheba and this thing made by Hollywood? Solomon didn't live to be 60. Correct me if I'm wrong. What are you doing? There's no way Solomon looked like that. Let's go on, family. Thank you for that. Proverbs 10 and Proverbs 20. It is an honor for a man to keep aloof from strife, but every fool will be snarling. He that walketh in his integrity, as a just man, happy are his children after him. Bread or falsehood is sweet to a man, but afterwards his mouth shall be filled with gravel. It is an honor for a man to keep aloof from strife, but every fool will be snarling. Okay, I meant to put Proverbs 20 and scriptures from that. But nonetheless, we get the point, if we will, family, in that particular manner. All right, wanted to point that out for reference purposes. Shalom, giving honor to the creator of heaven and earth. This presentation, there will be part 2, which is this one, is now concluded. We hope you all are well and will be better. We ask you all to comment, like, and share. Yes, subscribe too. We can be reached at 908-587-4841 or yessharai@yahoo.com. That is YESHSARAI@yahoo.com. Care to donate? Do not. Rather, you can buy the books you see on Amazon that my lady Sarai and I wrote. It is in the description. So in the description, you're going to see the link to get the books that me and my lady Sarai wrote, as well as the video where the guy in the land of Israel stating he's been there from the time of Joshua and that his people were scattered to Africa and then taken to America. That's going to be in the description, as well as the description about the Hebrew that we've gone over and so forth. So in giving honor and praise unto Yah, creator, maker of heaven and earth, we hope and pray that everybody is well and will be better. Future presentations. From Kemet to Compton, Part 3, October 8th. Mori Yeshaya History Lessons. No one hates Africa more than a black man who loves America. October 14th, same channel. Artifacts of Ancient Israel. October 16th. Mori Yeshaya History Lessons again. Prelude to the last free Hebrew class online. October 18th. Mori Yeshaya Hebrew Lessons. Slavery in the Continental Congress. October 22nd. Mori Yeshaya History Lessons. Honoring 12 presidents and ownership. October 22nd, one being at 6 p.m., the other being at 9 p.m. Mori Yeshaya History Lessons. The last free public Hebrew class online, November 1st, which is a so-called Wednesday night. Mori Yeshaya, sorry about that, Hebrew Lessons. So giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator, the maker of heaven and earth. Thanking everybody for joining in, hoping everybody is well and will be better. There's going to be, brothers and sisters, a matter of Solomon and the story of Solomon, part 3. Stay tuned. The intention for it is to come out. I'm not going to even give a day or date, but if you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, hopefully you share it, And it will be available for you when we do go live about that matter again. And giving honor and praise unto he who created all things and is not seen, the one who judges all and is not judged. Let us conclude out now and close out in prayer. El Rakum Wakanu. Ya Eloheinu, Elohe Abotenu. Elohe Abraham, Elohe Yitzchak, Elohe Yisrael. Ha'el HaGibor, Ha'el HaNorah. Ha'el HaGomer, Ha'el HaGoreim. Ha'el Shaddai, Ha'el HaShalit, Ha'el HaNorah. Ha'el Asher Ein Etzlaka, Bashamayim O Ba'aretz. Ein Yoshev Al Kiseka Mil Badeka. Ki La'akir Lo Titin Kibodeka. Ata El Kwana. Ata Eloheinu. Ata Ma'azim. Ta'azin Otanuya. Ata Shomeya. Tishma Otanuya. Ata Tirpa. Tirpa Otanuya. Ata Moshia. Hoshienu na Yahowa Eloheinu. Mekal Zarenu. Kien Lanu El Zar Bakwarbenu. Salak Lanu Mekato Tenu. Wagamet Abono Tenu. Forgive us of our iniquities and our shortcomings, and O Yah. For you are one, and there is none like you in the heaven above, the earth beneath, or the waters underneath. Hallelujah. Amen. We're closing out now, brothers and sisters, and giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator of the heavens and the earth, asking you all to subscribe to the channel, and we will have a part 3 to the story of Solomon. There's a lot to cover in history. We want to go over archaeology. We want to go over the matter of him with the Zidonians. We want to go over the matter with him and his wives. And we want to go over, brothers and sisters, the matter of Ecclesiastes when he said he experienced both sides of wisdom. And at the end, fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole man. Shalom.